He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start dropping. He's second and just sudden Miller couldn't play.
Cadbury, do it, do it,
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to Me Prefecture, Suzuka, Japan, for round number 7 of the Radical World Series Europe at Suzuka. This track has a total of 18 corners, 10 to the right, 7 to the left. It's about 3.6 miles long, that is 5.8 kilometers. It opened all the way back in September 1962, and the quickest lap around this track is a 1:30.983 from Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes W10 2019 during the F1 Grand Prix qualifying. Well then, today I'm joined in the booth by Stephen once again. Stephen, welcome, and how are you feeling for this one?
I'm feeling very good. Suzuka is an absolutely brilliant racetrack. It's one of the classics. We all know and love it. It's going to be a great race out there, I'm sure. We've got a lot going on in terms of the championship and other things going on as well. So there's those that have turned up today. Got a lot to gain.
Now, I can't lie. I have been to the track this weekend. Twice, on Saturday and on Sunday. And both of the days, I have seen the Radicals race for the first time ever in person. And I do have to say, the racing in these cars, just like in the sim, is absolutely monumental. It is absolutely amazing, crazy from start to finish. However, I did not see an SRA, which personally I'm a bit sad about. I did see the new SR10, and I did see some SRX or SR3XX, which is the third version of the SR3s. There are 3 versions of the SR3. There's the SR3, the SR3X, and the SR3XX. Now, the difference between those cars is very minimal, but as a driver, you can feel them. But it was amazing to kind of see these cars in person after that you've commentated on them in the sim. I was kind of starstruck by a car for the first time.
It's crazy. Great experience to have as well. I'm green with envy over here, I have to say. Yeah, let's see what these SR8s can do on track today, though. We've got very little time of practice left, so we're going to be jumping straight into qualifying and getting underway very soon, I believe.
Yes, we are. The thing is with these sessions is, of course, they're very short, just like normal. We'll have the qualifying before we go into the race. Qualifying will be long. Qualifying, as always, drivers will have to, they'll have to take their own pace into account. They can't slipstream up behind someone. Now, the last time round at Daytona, that was a big, massive thing, and at Suzuka here, I would say, Stephen, a bit less so, but still, it's always good for the drivers to at least have a clean track ahead of them. Something that I quickly want to touch on before we go anywhere is the championship of the drivers, because of course we're now well and truly into the championship, and it's important to know how everything is standing. Let's take a look at how the drivers championship is looking. At the moment, it is Adam Isaacson leading the way ahead of Tim Birch in P2, John Hutchinson in P3, ahead of Paul Clark in P4, Dennis Kiriakopoulos rounding off the top 5, Jürgen Frank in P6, Alfredo Mullen in P7, ahead of Ruben McGall in P8, Jason Duckworth in P9, and Mike Buson in P10, rounding off that all-important spot for the finals a little bit later on this season. Then we have Arturius Condelis in P11, ahead of Manuel de Graaf in P12, P13 for George Gonzaga, and Nima Bremer in P14, ahead of Guy Robertson in P15, and Rafael Blanco in P16. Paul Crabb in P17, ahead of David Rolliston, P18. We'll quickly scroll through the rest so you can see where your favorite driver is. Kjetil Larsen is what I'm surprised about. Didn't compete a lot this season. He's all the way down in P8. And we had actually a Norwegian driver this weekend. And with me now being in Sweden, of course, Norway isn't too far away from Sweden. And especially the track that I was at. So for a moment, I had hope that it might be Kjetil Larsen racing in Radical, but sadly it was not. Neither was it any of the other drivers. So all the drivers that are here this evening, I did not see them out on the real track. Montour Park, for the people that are interested, is where I was. Now, Stephen, what kind of lap times are we expecting? I said that the quickest lap time was set by, of course, Lewis Hamilton in W10 during the Grand Prix of 2019. The qualifying, he won 30.983, but I don't expect we'll get anywhere near that.
No, not with these cars today. No, unfortunately not. But yeah, times have been coming in practice from these guys. They're looking in around the 152s, the top end. If you're getting into the 153s, you're looking odds on for a decent qualifying. But a couple of people have struggled out there. A couple of spins in practice before we got going. But yeah, we won't mention any names just yet. We'll wait and see what happens in the actual race itself. But qualifying well underway at the moment. See who's going to set the timing boards alight with their hot lap.
The man who we expected to be Arthur Kondelis, who's up there last time too, Stephen.
He's shown flashes of pace this season, and he's still sitting pretty and nice in the championship as well. And so, good points haul here today. Could see him move up a place or two, maybe start looking at a top 5, maybe even a top 3 finish in the championship as we start getting towards the business end. Only 3 races remaining after this one, so not a lot of time left to correct any mistakes or bring back any issues.
Adam Isaacson, who's just ahead of him on track. He's purple in section number 3 and 4, excuse me, Arthur Kondelis purple in section number 1. If you want to ask me who has the quickest sector in sector number 2, that is Stephen Place, who was very quick during the Americas at Daytona. Didn't quite show the pace in the Europe, which for me was very surprising. All the way down the order in the Europes, but in the Americas was right up there with the quick guys. Fought them till the end, and in the end got a great podium. Adam Isaacson across the line to set up their first lap time. It's a 154.5, but that immediately gets beaten, Stephen, by Mike Boos and Arthur Kondelis, Karabelas, and Stephen Place, who goes to the pole position.
Yeah, some big upsets coming here in the first laps around. I think guys all get another lap within the 8-minute time slot in order to improve upon that, but a lot of work there to do for Adam Isaacson. He does not want to find himself in P6 at the start of this race.
It's interesting, this track. Like I said, this track about 5.8 kilometers long, and some interesting corners. 130R, 200R, the hairpin all the way at the top, both Degners, which Adam Isaacson just went through. So an interesting track, and definitely one for the drivers to keep an eye out for. We'll take a lap with Alex Roggenberg. Let's go around this track and give you a lap on board with Roggenberg. Well then, coming on to the start-finish straight, going up through the gears. We've just gone through the last corner into first corner, which actually has the name first corner. Not the only track to name its first corner. There we go. How many times can you mention first corner in the sentence? Down to about third gear. Some drivers like to short shift to second. There we go. He did it too, to just turn in the car, back up, short shift to third, then through the S's and through the snake that they call it here at Suzuka. It's easy to kind of get offline here. Once you're offline for the first part, you're going to be offline for the rest of these S's too. Through Dunlop curve. It's a tricky one. You want to push on exit, but you can't push too much. Then into the Degners. Tricky one. You want to hit the curb on the inside. Not too hard though. Going to the outside. Again, all the way to the inside. Not too quick there from Roggenberg, but it's only his first lap. Tires still getting up to temperature. Then into the hairpin. Turning, braking at the same time for the first part of the hairpin, which is what most drivers will be struggling with. Apex, an early apex this time round for Rugged Buck. I expect with warmer tyres, the tyres at the temp in about 2-3 laps time, he will keep that pinned to the apex. Then through 200R onto Spoon. And easy to lose the car on the right hand side over the curb, doesn't risk it to go onto the curb, just wants to get a time on the board. Adam Isaacson has currently gone to pole position on a 153.359. Bleeding through Spoon, now on the backstretch to 130R, one of the most famous corners in motorsports. Is he going to keep it flat? Let's listen. He's not, didn't quite have the line through there into the chicane. The Casio was going to go way too deep, and it's going to have to go back on track. It's not going to get the lap time because his lap time will be deleted through the last corner. And it's now just setting up for that last lap, Stephen.
Yeah, just totally outbraked himself there at the end of that into Casio, and just ruins his lap. But now he's going to set up and try and go again and recover. He's not got a lot of time left to go, but interesting tidbit of information about Mr. Roggenbuck is that he is one of only 2 drivers who has been ever present this season in the championship and have turned up at every race. The other being Jason Duckworth, who's also racing this evening in P8 at the moment.
Oh, here's Jason Duckworth. Jason Duckworth, a familiar face, of course, to everyone, and especially if I take a look onto the TV cams. Look at that livery, the Castrol livery. Well, you can't really go more iconic than that, can you? On a radical.
Certainly can't.
With this paint scheme, Stephen, I've seen so many championships, and well, Duckworth at the moment not quite there, I would say, to take it. But bringing back a iconic livery.
Certainly is. I've got the same livery on my Toyota GT6, or the GR86, sorry.
Yeah, GR86.
In iRacing, yeah, as well. Yeah, one of my favourite liveries, and yeah, very famous on various different cars. I suppose most famously the Lancia Stratos had it, did it not? Might be misremembering that, but
I think it did. Yeah, it did. It definitely did.
Yeah, more noteworthy here today is Kyrgiakopoulos and Kudelis at the moment are literally have identical times as it stands. So very, very tight between those two on a 153.73 for both of them.
How tight do you want it? Adam Isaacson, let's take a look with him. Here is the current provisional pole sitter. Tim Bertie, of course, was very quick last time round at Daytona 2. In the end, let's be honest, lost it to a very dominant teammate of his, and Tim Bertie in the end had to settle for P2. In the end, it was a 1-2-3 for Simracing, so you can't really ask for more, can you? Also, Adam Isaacson was not there last week, so of course, a lot of points gained there in the championship. And a lot of points lost for Adam Isaacson. Adam Isaacson is in the championship battle together with one of the drivers of Simracing, Beethoven. One of those drivers being, I think if I'm correct, Man of the Graph, not Man of the Graph, excuse me. It is Jürgen Frank who won last time round as well. Jürgen Frank, excuse me. But qualifying for Adam Isaacson has come to an end. He will go no quicker than P1, but you don't need to be any quicker than that, do you?
Nope, I think we have our grid, to be honest. That's the checkered flag, and qualifying done with. We'll now have 30 minutes of racing. Still believe there are 2 mandatory pit stops, are there not? So people have...
No pit stops. This is a 30-minute
pit stops
race.
in the 30 minutes, okay.
So you don't need to do any pit stops, which is super nice for the drivers to think about, because we had some pit stop calamities in the last race, which we'll touch on a bit later on. Adam Isaacson in P1, Tim Bertie P2. I chose Condalis P3, Mike Buson in P4, and Dennis Kyrgiakopoulos and Stephen Place on row 3. Rafael Blanco and Daniel Cascado on P7 and 8 on row 4. Then Jason Duckworth and Andy Pean round off the top 10. 11th is Sandro Capella ahead of Stefan Meres. Behind that in row 7, we have Guy Robertson and Alex Roggenbuck. That is a grid for this evening. A little bit of a smaller grid than we're used to here with the Europes, but nonetheless, we are expecting some great action, especially with the top 2, Stephen, being that close in quali.
Yeah, we've certainly got 40 drivers who are going to be giving it their all, and these 2 guys at the front, there seems to be very little separating them. Tim Bertie was a little bit quicker in qualifying and practice before the race, but looks like Adam Isaacson has the advantage as it stands.
Well, gridding is done. Take a look at how the drivers will be lining up. Here we go. Firefret lights are on the gantry. Adam Isaacson is going to lead from pole position, but Karabelas with a rocket start. The Lithuanian with an absolute rocket start is going to look around the outsides of the first corner. Not going to make it, but Arturas Karabelas, Stephen, an absolute rocket start in the background. A rocket start for Daniele Cascado too. He's up into P6 after that start, but what a start once again from Arturas Karabelas. He just seems to have them absolutely nailed down.
He certainly does. It's not the first time we've seen him do that either. In past races, maybe he's fallen back a little bit after those rocket starts. He needs to keep his focus and hang on at the back of Isaacson. Otherwise, Tim Bertie could be putting the pressure on early. And but yeah, what a start from Karabelas.
Now, let's be honest, Tim Bertie behind him is going to try and put him under as much pressure as he can, because ahead of him he has one of his teammates. Not a real teammate, because technically they're in different Simracing teams, but let's be honest, if you're a Simracing Beethoven and you see a driver who's fighting for the championship from another Simracing team, you're going to try and help him just that little bit.
There'll definitely be some kind of subconscious teamwork going on there, even if they're not in VC together. But, interestingly though, Stefan Melis also gained a position there, but Daniel Costaro gained 2 positions on the opening lap. He's the biggest winner out of everybody so far as we come around the corner. Duckworth there, getting a bit side by side there with Melis, who loses position once more.
Well, Jason Duckworth, I expected honestly for Jason Duckworth to keep that position. He might drop down even further. Melis on the inside of 130R, and they almost touch. However, it looks like they were able to avoid contact, but to do that, Jason Duckworth had to go off track.
Well, there is some damage to the back of that Castrol car as well. Look at the back left of the Castrol car. There is some damage there as well from that contact. Bit of a bent wing. Looks like the blue livery behind of Melis has got away with that one a bit as well. Not much damage to his car. So he's got a car off track there ahead. It looks like, was that Karabelas? It was. He's got off in turn 1. And takes a wide line to come back on the track, but he's dropped now 2 positions after an error there. Maybe forced it. Who knows? It's that one. Maybe we can get a replay.
Tim Bertie, of course, was behind him, trying to push him as hard as he could. Now, I did want to say on that incident with Jason Duckworth and I think Stefan Melis, I want to recall that because there was some damage to the left-hand side of Jason Duckworth's car, and in the end, Jason Duckworth got back through, and Stefan Melis, as you can see on the left-hand side in the timing tower, Duckworth in P10 ahead of Melis in P11. Let's take a look back at what exactly happened to Adam Isaacson. He had a little bit of a track moment, and that is the leader at the moment. So let's take a look what happened to him at turn 1. Maybe
Tim Bertie is up the inside of oh, and there is contact as well. So
there was Karabelas.
Yeah.
That is an interesting one. Let's take a look at that again. Take a look from Arturas Karabelas' his perspective. On the outside, was there contact? It looked like there was. Did well though to keep that going in a straight line. Had to cut across the gravel for a second there, did Arturas Karabelas. So not ideal, let's put it like that.
Yeah, maybe a little argument could be had for a little bit of net code in there as well, but he hasn't lost out too badly, but 2 positions. Could get those back, given the class of drivers that are now ahead of him. Buson now in P3. We'll be hoping to gain a lot from the toe from Bertie, and hope that they don't get away from him too quickly, so that he can use them to defend.
Like Buson, not quite performing how I expected him to perform at the beginning of the season. Now, that is not to discredit Mike Buson at all, because he's still been performing rather well. All my experience with Mike Buson, especially in the previous seasons, Mike Buson was always up there. He was a driver who was always up there at the front, and I expected him to be there this season once again, but he's kind of been, well, let's say, transparent at the front of the field. He's been there in the top 3 sometimes, but he's never really been able to really contend for a victory. I don't know what that could be down to. Maybe the fact that we've changed back to the SR8 and we've had a season in the SR10 and he has to get used to the car again, because it does look like the further we get on into the season, better Mike Buson seems to get.
Yeah, maybe it's just down to experience in time in the car. We've got some action happening here between Place and Cascado, I think. Cascado, I think it is, in front with the green SR8 livery. But, look at the exit speed that Place has over him at the moment. It's very tight, coming down through 200R into Spoon. And it's a very good overtaking spot, this. If he can get the inside, the other guy has to give it up around the outside. And
Contact between the two!
Yes.
And Cascado is off, and that was unavoidable, really. And you could say again, there might be some netcode involved in that, because it didn't really look like they touched there.
Looks like they were running in a very tight margins indeed there, but it is a dangerous place to go side by side. Maybe that was a case of Place putting his nose into the... Oh, it looks like he was off. We've got the replay again there. Yeah, just maybe putting his nose where it maybe didn't belong. Didn't really have his car far enough alongside to warrant space there. Maybe should have backed out of that one, but Cascado is the guy who comes off worse. Drama here at Suzuka.
I can tell you, Stephen, from personal experience this weekend, that the nose of the SR10 doesn't give like it has on Cascado's car. If you do crash like that, it's pretty much, well, part of the nose is off. And the noses of those SR10s, especially this weekend, were a big talking point. Very fragile. You can't really touch with them because, well, touchy in these cars, especially this weekend, meant that your nose came flying off. So, yeah, an interesting one this weekend. You haven't seen that so far here, but there has been a lot of net coding going on. I don't know what that is down to. However, Adam Isaacson has had no experience with that because he has just been leading by at least half a second so far the whole time round. Of course, behind him he has his Simracing companion, Tim Bertie, not on the same team. Tim Bertie is for Simracing Beethoven. Adam Isaacson is for the big Simracing team. At the moment, it looks like Simracing is leading the Drivers' Championship and Simracing Beethoven is leading the Team Championship. So both Simracing doing a good job in the Drivers and the Team Championship. So that tells us even that, you know, Simracing is a very well-established team.
Certainly, yeah, lots of talented drivers within as well. But it's Arturus Kundelis at the moment who has the fastest lap last time around. And we'll see who's got the fastest one this time around as the leaders start coming down in Casio now. Trying to break, so the Team 30 is really piling the pressure on as Behan and Duckworth go at it as well. Duckworth, with that damage, of course, will be hindered a little bit. It's going to make this maybe a little bit easier on Behan to get past.
Now, quickest lap time this time round for Tim Bertie, 53.0. We have seen quicker lap times. We have seen a 52.8, I think, but that was with an off-track in it, so that does not count as a quickest lap, Stephen. That's maybe why people are getting confused, but no. At the moment, the quickest lap time just run by Tim Bertie. Good evening, Peter Pepels. Welcome into the stream too. Good evening, everyone over on the Radical Sim Racing Channel 2. Adam Isaacson is still leading this race as he does. It's been between Jurgen Frank and Adam Isaacson. If one of those two drivers is competing, kind of almost expect them to win the race. If they're both competing, well, we have seen that before. They might go off together. Rafael Blanco talking about going off is one of the drivers who went off. While we were talking about Adam Isaacson and Tim Bertie.
Oh, there's another one off there as well.
Jason Duckworth in the Castro liveried. What has happened to him? The left rear of that car already damaged. We saw that a bit earlier on. Take a look at what happened to Rafael Blanco a bit earlier on. Bit of highlight reel here. Rafael Blanco, this was where he went off on the exit of the second of the two Degners. Here we go. It's going to spin off, and I like how, well, yeah.
He's done very well to minimise the damage on the car there, you have to say. You have to say he's kept that out of the barrier amazingly well. We didn't get a very good shot of it through the overpass, but and there's the spin that you can see there just ahead of the Castrol car as well, who just gets on the loud pedal a little bit too early with the green car chasing from behind, putting the pressure on.
And long wait for the whole field to get past. And I didn't need to wait long.
Not too many cars coming up, so he could just floor it, get it back onto the track and floor it again. Behind that, I think, was Alex Roggenbuck, who tried to couldn't quite overtake him before he got going again. Alex Roggenbuck still behind him. Adam Isaacson also still leading the way ahead of Tim Bertie. But Buisson and Bertie have now caught up to the back of Isaacson. Well, Isaacson is under pressure here. It's not going to be an easy victory for him if he is going to take it. So he's going to have to fight his own Simracing companion or Mike Buisson.
He's been here before though, has Isaacson, and he's got the experience to deal with this. He has the joint most wins so far this season, with 3 apiece between him and Jürgen Frank, and this is round 7. These guys are the only 2 who've actually won races so far. Tim Bertie yet to get a win on the record, but he's been extremely consistent so far this season, and he's still in with a shout at the championship as well. He may have something to say about it between Isaacson and Jürgen Frank.
Well, if Adam Isaacson is going to allow a teammate to win a race here, especially with Jürgen Frank not being here, could he give it to Tim Bertie for the teamwork that he did to get a Jürgen Frank last week? Do you think Adam Isaacson is going to do that personally? I want to give my answer.
No,
I
think they're going to race. I think they're going to race. I think Isaacson needs this. Certainly needs this. So for the championship, I mean, the championship is tight. The scoring system here in the championship is only 2 points between each position. 50 points for first place, 48 for second, and so on. And so you get the lower reaches, and it becomes a bit more of a sharper fall off. But 2 points only being the difference means that it's very tight still in the championship. So Isaacson's not going to want to give any points away to Bertie. Bertie, who's been so consistent this season, could still well pip him to the title. He doesn't want to give the title away. He's certainly going to keep his focus here, though. Keep Bertie behind, fend for his life.
Well, Tim Bertie, he's familiar to running in seconds after last week at Daytona. However, at Daytona, it was a bit closer. I think there was about half a tenth between the drivers there to try and push each other along that banking. None of that shenanigans here this weekend at Suzuka. This track, there is no banked corners. Well, there are banked corners, but definitely not as banked and not as long as they were at Daytona. I think the second Degner is banked on the inside a bit. We call that camber in track because you can't really call it a banked corner with the way that it is shaped. It's really camber in the road. It's an on-camber corner, so it kind of rolls you through the corner. It helps you through the corner. He took good use of that. A little bit further back though, it's Kiri Kopeles who's trying to chase down Kundelis. Kundelis is closed up now to Tim Bertie and Mike Buisson, and he might be able to get past both of them. Now, what this has done, Stephen, is this has allowed Adam Isaacson to get a little bit of the gap to Tim Bertie.
Yeah, and then look at these guys. They're going to start fighting anytime soon. Buisson is so close to the back of Bertie here, and around the outside, it's the inside now. He's going to have for Casio is Kundelis making the move on Buisson. Down the inside he goes into Casio, gets the move done, gets it secured, and takes the apex for the exit of Casio, and down now into the straight. He gets that position from Buisson, taking advantage there in the most opportunistic way. Yeah, that was brilliant.
To get past there. That was not an easy overtake from Arturus Kundelis. Try and work on Tim Bertie. Tim Bertie who's closed that gap up to below a second once again to Adam Isaacson. Needs to make sure that he can get as close to Bertie as possible. Maybe onto the run off the front straight again. As it looks like at the moment it's going to be a bit difficult for him to overtake from the position where he is, with the fact that Bertie has slipstream too. And it's not the fact that we don't want to show anyone behind, but the closest battle behind this is Alex Roggenbuck, who's chasing down Jason Duckworth. And Jason Duckworth actually has consistently been a tenth or a half slower, or quicker, excuse me, than Alex Roggenbuck behind him. Alex Roggenbuck about half a tenth to a tenth, maybe 1.5 tenths slower than Jason Duckworth. So that's why these two have been this close so far. But this is the closest battle on track by far, and it is for Q2.
Yeah, it's an exciting battle here at the front as well, but Isaacson seems to be having starting to stretch his legs a little bit and just extending that gap over time over Bertie, and then Bertie then going to fall into the clutches of Kundelis as a result of that, because he doesn't have the toe. and it's going to be important that, so especially down the back straight, down into 130R, could be very important down there for sure. But Isaacson looking to take command of this race.
Well, Mike Buson is also still at the back of this battle. Bailey's ahead of him, like we said, a great overtake last time round, exactly at this corner at Casio on Mike Buson. Mike Buson immediately after that lost a lot of time. However, we do have a crash on the track, and I do quickly want to look at it because it is the boss man himself, Sandro Capello. And what has he done? Into Casio, he goes to his, does he touch the grass? No, he just outbrakes himself, goes straight on. Gonna get back onto the track. Wasn't really a crash, just outbraked himself. Luckily for Sandro Capello, nothing that is gonna end his.
Has to take an alternate route through Casio, but back onto the action, and it's 1.2 seconds. The gap seems to be holding firm, Bertie, but Bertie means maybe trying to overdrive the car a little bit to try and close that gap in. As we just past the halfway point, 14 minutes remaining here in Suzuka. It's hotting up to be an exciting one. Isaacson at the moment stretching his legs and just taking large strides away from the pack at the moment, leaving them behind the fight amongst themselves.
Bailey's boost on Bertie Isaacson. They've all been fighting for quite a while. Let's take a look at how the drivers ground are lining up. Dennis Kiriakopoulos at the moment 3 seconds behind the battle in front of him. Then behind that we find ourselves with the Canadian of Stephen Place coming back through the field. His qualifying pace seems to be very, very strong. However, has been dropping a bit of speed here in the race compared to the rest. Last lap time for Stephen Place was a 1:53.21. He improved his quickest lap time there. Quickest lap time was set by Adam Isaacson last time around at a 1:53.00.
Isaacson getting very rapid at the moment, but yeah, Place also reeling in Kiriakopoulos as it stands, but just dropped it under a second for a split second there, and he'll be looking to gain that toe so that he can then close up and maybe look for the overtake. But Kiriakopoulos let's find himself no longer alone in the short future.
Now he's got into that slipstream, and that will be important for himself because he can keep that car in the slipstream and he can kind of work with Kiriakopoulos, able to catch up to the drivers ahead of him, and that might be big because Stephen Place is quick. We saw it in the Americas before last week, and he just had an unlucky race at Daytona in the Europes. Dennis Kiriakopoulos is going to try and use him, try and work together with him and see what they can do. Arturus Gundelis is still ahead of Mike Buson and is going to try and chase down Tim Bertie.
Yeah, it's hotting up between those two as well. P2 will mean a great deal, both of them. More so for Tim Bertie, who is maybe just been sacrificed here for the Team RC for to defend for Isaacson. But might not be particularly happy with that, but maybe he just got away from him. Who knows? But Buson falling off the back of this battle as well, leaving Gundelis and Bertie to fight it out amongst themselves. And anybody's guess as to how that ends up. Seen a number of incidents already this race. Hopefully we don't see another repeat. But, if that happens, Buson is waiting in the wings, ready to pick up those crumbs. Take advantage.
Now look at the man behind that, Kiriakopoulos. He's under pressure now from Stephen Place. He's got him. He's done all he needed to do. Where's he going to go? Where's he going to put his car? Is he going to go inside or outside? Isn't quite close enough to do anything out of 130R. We're over halfway now in this race, so he's going to have to work hard if he wants anything from this.
He's going to have to be aggressive as well. It's not an easy track to overtake at Suzuka, but there are definitely places and lots of corners to make mistakes at, take advantage of. And there's a few curves here that can be very deadly, particularly the Degnas.
Oh, for sure. You have to watch out, especially on the outside curb. That second Degner. If you go too far to the left-hand side, you get caught behind the curb, and your turning in point is completely messed up. And once that has happened, there is no way of getting it back. So you're off onto the left-hand side wall, or you spin to the inside wall, which I would prefer to spin into the outside wall, since that a lot softer because there's a tyre barrier on the left hand side and there's this concrete wall or a steel barrier on the right hand side. So I prefer Stephen spin off to the left hand side here.
Actually, to preserve yourself or to preserve the car? What are you trying to save there?
Both, preserve the car and myself. I think the car would be in better shape if I crash into the tyre barrier at 150 than it would be if I crash into a metal barrier at
to me, it sounds like you're planning for failure. You shouldn't be planning to crash at all.
Exactly, I was going to say that after. Actually, Stephen, it would be way better not to spin at all there. So yeah, these drivers, I think we've seen one spin there, but that has been it. And so far, I think that is, well, they haven't done too bad because we both know, Stephen, that the Deckners, who just touched on it, they're so tricky. They're so difficult to get right time and time again.
Oh.
Stephen plays to the outside of Karabelas. Going to try and set him up. Sets himself up though for a little bit of oversteer on the entry. A little bit too quick into there. Meanwhile, Bertie at the front sets the quickest lap time.
So he does. He's caught up to the back of Isaacson again once more and stretches a bit of a gap now to Karabelas, who's now 9/10 behind with place. There into Casio trying to outbrake his opponent. Did not work out too well for him. Yeah, I think he got a bit of a lock up there at the death. Maybe couldn't get turned in because Karabelas was still there. He couldn't really disappear, so it didn't work out for him.
You can't expect him to disappear, really. Once you're there, you kind of have to give that driver room, and he did do that. Karabelas, however, it looked like if he did carry it around the outside Stephen Place, he would have quite run out of room there on the exit. Now, I don't think Stephen Place it's going to hold him back from trying it again. We know how quick he is. We know he has the pace. We know that he is an aggressive driver, and he needs to be aggressive because there's only about 8 minutes left. He wants to try and have any chance to get onto that podium to try and catch up to Boson and Karabelas. He needs to be past Karabelas as possible, and even then, I think he needs to gain about a second a lap to really have a chance.
Getting very squirrely there out of Spoon 2 as well. Very difficult complex of corners, those two. Got to really pick your apex point, and it's blind as well out of that second one in order to maximise your speed down this long straight into 130R. He's going to go again for the outside. He hasn't really got a choice with the defensive job that Karabelas is doing. But,
now a better exit though. He set him up for it.
Is he going to be able to get the run down the turn? Well, there's not a lot of space down this main straight down past the pit lane. And in order to get the move done into turn 1, you really need the inside. The guy ahead is never going to give it. He's going to go for the dive here though, is he? It doesn't look like he is. Backside.
Oh, he is.
He's putting his nose in there. Ooh. He's putting his nose in there, isn't he? That's extremely aggressive. Just letting him know he's there. Letting him understand that he's here. And look at how close he's getting through the S's as well. He's carrying so much more speed here. Unbelievable driving.
Now, I do think that Karabelas already knows that he's there, and he will know now for sure. Karabelas is all over the exit of Dunlop. It's now going to go into Deckner with pressure once again for place with both drivers on the edge of the grip, on the edge of the car, on the edge of the track. There isn't more that either the track, the car, or the driver can give. This is absolutely racing on the edge. And I have a feeling once Stephen Place gets past Karabelas, he might be gone too. But the longer Karabelas can try and extend that happening, better it will be for him.
He needs to fight tooth and nail for this position. Does Karabelas. He can't give it up for a moment because he knows that this guy's caught him up by a couple of seconds. 3 seconds I think the gap was in the early stages, and he knows he's a lot quicker. So once he does get past, like you say, he's going to be disappearing into the wind and be very difficult to catch up. But Bertie has also managed to catch up with Isaacson at the front, and Karabelas is now struggling to hold on to those two. And it's starting to get very exciting as we come into the final 5 minutes here at Suzuka.
Final 5 minutes. Stephen Place is going to wait once again. Wasn't close enough this time. Not going to try it. Once again, he's going to try and go for that better exit. I think he's got an even better exit than he did last time round. 2.5 tenths is the gap at the moment. It's not going to be enough. He's gaining within 2 tenths now. Now he's really starting to gain, but I have a feeling once again going to be too late. And he's going to have to try something audacious here. And he's not going to do that. He's not going to take that risk. He's trying to take Dennis. Or trying. He's not going to risk taking Dennis Karabelas out. So
he just needs to be patient here.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's
well,
wait for the right moment.
To be patient. It's only 5 minutes left. He needs to get.
I mean, he needs to get past the right way. You can't put the guy off. He's got to be patient, pick the right time, and force the mistake. He was doing things the right way, I guess. Last lap, where he was putting his nose where it didn't. Well, Karabelas definitely didn't want it. And that's going to give Karabelas something to think about the next time he attacks. So he needs to be assertive, brave, and decisive in his overtake here.
I think he also put his nose at the inside where Karabelas did not expect it. I think once we went through the S's, through the second lap handed, he just put it up the inside, and Karabelas turned in, and I think all of a sudden he got the voice from his spotter car on the left, and he was like, okay, have to give him room, else I will die. And luckily, that did not happen. Gave him the room, but in doing so, kind of a jerky movement, which lost him a lot of time too. Once again, down to 130R, squirmy on exit for Stephen Place. Where can Stephen Place put his car here?
It'll be very difficult to make any kind of move in at 130R. Not a place you can go too wide through. It's going to be flat out or thereabouts. But down into Casio is definitely the better option. But a difficult and heavy braking zone is there. They're both that inside curb and the other inside curb of Casio. And a lot of curb there on the exit for Place as well. And that's costing him time down the straight, I believe. He's got the toe still. He's going to be able to hang on to the back of Karabelas for a little while longer. He needs to get a shift on, get the wriggle on, and get past. Otherwise, he could be staring at the back of that Karabelas car for a while longer until the end of the race.
Talking about someone who needs to get a move on if he still wants to get something. It is Tim Bertie who is in P2 at the moment with Berman behind his companion with Simracing. Adam Isaacson has been at about 9-8 tenths this whole race long. He's been up and down, he's been fluctuating a bit. But he's never been able to get closer. If he still wants something, he needs to kind of close off now, as about 2.5 minutes left to try and get past any of the drivers that are in, which will only be Adam Isaacson. Traffic, I don't think, which is something I would account for, will come or won't come into play. Cascado is out, the only driver out of this race, and driver P13 Robertson is now going through the Casio chicane. So a lot of room still for Tim Bertie to catch up to him, and I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue.
Not Isaacson once again showing he's got enough in the bank to keep Bertie at bay here, doing a very impressive drive. Led from start to finish so far. Karabelas as well, not doing a bad job to gain a position in P3, I believe. I know he started in P3, so it looks like it's yeah, top 4 is as you were in qualifying at the moment.
What more can you ask for?
Top 5.
What more can you ask for? The top 7 actually is how they were in qualifying. Only drivers who have moved up or gone down a position. Mellis, who's up for a biggest deal in this race, instead of Andy in P9, then Jason Ducker dropped down 1, so those two change around. They're back in the same position where they were before. Then you have Alex Roggenbuck up 3. Sandro Capella down 1, and then of course Daniela Cascado, who is down 6 positions. That is quite a big loss, to be honest, for this race. Daniela Cascado is doing really well. Fortunately, it is about making it to the end, and Daniela Cascado failing to do so in the race.
It's unfortunate for him, but happens to the best of us at times, as we are coming on to the final lap, I believe, as the leaders head through the hairpin as we speak. So I'm following on board here with Place, who's still got Karabelas acting as a roadblock in front as he gets a very almost sideways there, heart and mouth moment for him, as if you go over too far over that curve, like we were saying earlier, it can spit you out and into a very deadly wall. So he's done very well to recover that one, but struggling to get past Karabelas here. Karabelas seems to have him covered.
We know how good Karabelas is at defending, let's be honest. We've seen it so many times now this season. Difficult to get past him, however, I do have a feeling that one certain Swedish driver with a first name of Adam and a second name of Isaacson is going to come to the checkered flag here. Time has run out for this race. We'll complete about 16 laps. The checkered flag is out, and the first driver who's going to take it will be Adam Isaacson. He comes through to win another one. His fourth race so far, goes to the most wins this season, and it will still be Adam Isaacson or Jürgen Frank, the only two drivers to win a race, just telling you how dominant they have been so far this season. Adam Isaacson finishes ahead of Tim Bertie in P2, Karabelas P3, Mike Bousson in P4, Dennis Karabelas in P5. Stays ahead of Stephen Place in P6 and Rafael Blanco in P7, ahead of Stefan Mellis in P8. At the moment, it is Andy in P9, ahead of Jason Duckworth in P10. Alex Roggenbach, what a tough race for him, up 3 positions from the back of the grid. But I think Alex himself wants more than that. There is more in it for Alex too. Didn't quite come out this race. Sandra Capella in P12, ahead of Guy Robertson in P13. Of course, Daniela Cascado not able to finish this race. Waiting for Guy Robertson to come across the line before we can give you the results of this race. I think, Stephen, all in all, a very successful one.
Yeah, Adam Isaacson will be very happy with this evening's events and how they unfolded, from start to finish. Fantastic drive from him, and gets another win, an all-important win on the board as well. Looks like it's going to be a very tight championship. Going to go down to the wire. 3 more races remaining, and remains to see who's going to win this one. I mean, it could come down to anybody. A number of people are in the running still, just because they've been so consistent and turned up to the majority of races. It's a real head scratcher as to who's going to do what.
Well, the results are in for the race, so let's take a look at them. It is going to be Adam Isaacson ahead of Tim Bertie in P2, Karabelas P3, rounding off your podium. A Lithuanian, a German, and a Swedish driver on the podium. All 3 different nationalities. Mike Bousson in P4 and Dennis Karabelas in P5. Actually, I think it is the top 8, all different nationalities. Stephen Place from Canada, Rafael Blanco from Uruguay, and in P8 it is Stefan Mellis from Belgium. Then we have a first in the country of the UK with Andy in P9 and Bousson of course in P4. Then Jason Duckworth P10 and of Alex Roggenbach in P11, Standard Capella P12, Guy Robertson in P13, and Daniela Cascado, who is not able to count. Take a look if there are some drivers who will be up for a little bit of a chat to us. I think we have the winner of this race with us here this evening, Adam Isaacson. Welcome into the booth.
Thank you.
Adam, we saw the pressure that you had for most of that race from Tim Bertie and Arthurs Karabelas behind you. What was your magic words, your magic line, whatever it might have been, to cope with that pressure?
Well, I definitely had to stay really focused the entire race. Even though for the first half I made a lot of mistakes, which I guess was partially down to not having a lot of practice for this race. But yeah, it was tough. I definitely had to push.
Well, in terms of the tires, because we always ask this every sprint race that we go to, how were the tires? Could you push on them for 30 minutes long? Because this is quite a very tire-heavy circuit.
I think it's fine as long as you don't overheat them. You can push them, but you need to push them in the right way.
Can you explain to
You
the viewers at home
you
what
can't be having
exactly you
slides
mean
and stuff. Sorry?
Can you explain to the viewers at home what exactly you mean with getting them up to temperature and keeping them in the right window, and how you do that?
Basically, it's like what you really don't want to do is overdrive the car, which is very easy to do in this car. So like braking too late and trying to get a bit too early on the power. Because then you're definitely gonna overcook your tires, and most of the time it's not even gonna make you quicker. Even like over a single lap. So I think it's definitely possible to go quick without killing the tires, but it's yeah, you need to do it in the right way.
Right, Adam, of course, we saw earlier on, of course, you talked about it last week. Jürgen Frank was the winner at Daytona. Jürgen Frank not here this evening. You've kind of restored that little lead you had in the championship with Jürgen Frank not being here this week. How are you looking at the championship now with 3 rounds to go?
Well, to be honest, I am not really sure. Because I think I will miss the next round actually. So that means I will miss 1 round apart from the drop rounds.
Okay.
So I really don't expect to be able to fight for this championship by the end, but we'll see.
Now, a quick question from me: where are you based in Sweden? Because I at Montorp Park, where there were radicals racing around the track. Spring races were. That's what it was called. How far are you away from Montorp?
Not that far actually. I'm actually not sure exactly where it is, but I think it's like a couple hours maybe. I'm based. It's a place called Uddevalla. It's about an hour north of Gothenburg.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That'll come down to about an hour or 5 of driving for you.
Yeah.
Which for us Dutchies is a long while. For you Swedes, that's that. Well, those are normal times. Expect. Well, Adam, thank you very much for hopping into the booth. Congratulations on your victory, and 3 rounds to go. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Stephen, I think spoke to very happy Adam Isaacson. Once again, he was here and he dominated once again. Tim Bertie in the end, just about 1.5 seconds too slow on, over 30 minutes. So I guess you can't really call it domination from Adam Isaacson, but then in the end, Tim Bertie was never really able to go for him.
No, he just lacked that extra couple of tenths of pace, and yeah, towards the end, maybe had worn his tyres out a little bit more than Adam Isaacson, who maybe had a bit more. It's held in reserve for the first half. Like you say, he was making a lot of mistakes, but the championship itself is still wide open, and that's the important thing that these guys are going to be focusing on a lot now. Tim Bertie, with his another P2 finish and a regular showing in the podium position, means that he's in contention. Jürgen Frank and Adam Isaacson both winning races left and right, but Tim Bertie has just been quietly sneaking in those points in P2s and P3s. The season's gone on, and he could come good at the end.
Well, in the end, Stephen, I think most drivers who were already out with a chance at winning that championship, the normal season, they will be looking to try and get into that top 10 or keep themselves in the top 10 to go on to the finals. Maybe have a chance of, let's be honest, taking the overall victory in the Radical World Series. Because in those finals, it will be the top 10 of Europe and the top 10 of America will get thrown into one race, and from there, we will decide who will be the overall champion. I think 2 races, just like last week, last time round when I was here to do it. I think it is 2 races over an evening. Well, they'll decide which tracks that are shortly before those finals. We'll do both of the tracks. And at the end, we'll have a points total over those 2 races and we'll see who the champion. I thank you all very much for watching. Stephen, thank you for being alongside me in the mood. Everyone else in chat, thank you for watching. Phil, of course, as always. Daan Pepels, of course, thank you for watching. Thank you for everyone, of course, over at the Radical World Series YouTube channel too for watching this broadcast. Stephen, like I said, thank you very much. Thank you to you at home for watching. Until next time, and until about 4 hours when we do the Americas, stay safe. See you there. Bye-bye.
Yeah.